Yes, sir, got it.
Right. Now, can I create the boot application from IDE also?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Can I
Yes.
create the boot application from the IDE also?
Yes,
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 Yes.
we
Yes,
can
sir.
create the
yes.
boot applications from IDE also. Even though if I create the application from IDE, internally, will it connect with the Spring Initializer or it will not connect with the Spring Initializer?
It
It
will
connects
connect
to
to
the
the
spring.
Spring
It will connect the
Initializer.
spring.
It
Yes,
is going to connect with the Spring Initializer.
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 Yes,
Right.
it will
That
connect
means,
to
can
the
I
spring.
say our IDE is making a web service call to initializer? Our IDE is making a web service call to initializer to create the boot application. Yes, we can say
Yes.
Yes.
that.
Yes,
We can
yes,
say that our IDE is interacting with the Spring Initializer website to create the boot application. So in the last session, we discussed about this concept. Spring Initializer, Spring Initializer is used to create Spring Boot applications. Is used to create Spring Boot applications. Now that is start.spring.io website. Now next we can create we can create boot applications by using IDE also. When we create the application, when we create boot application using initializer, using initializer, it will give the application, it will give the application in the form of zip file. You will give the application in the form of zip file. We need to extract that zip and we need to import the project into our IDE. We need to extract that zip file. We need to extract that zip file and we should import that project into our IDE. We need to extract that zip file and we should import that project into our IDE. All right. Now we can create boot application directly from IDE. We can create Spring Boot applications directly from IDE. But internally, IDE will interact with IDE will interact with start.spring.io website to create the project. To create the project. Now, note, net connection is mandatory to create the boot application or internet connection is not mandatory to create the boot application.
It is
mandatory.
mandatory
Mandatory.
to
Internet
create
connection
the
is
boot
related to boot
application.
application.
Mandatory for downloading jars.
Right. Now tell me why it is mandatory to have a net connection in our system to create the boot application.
Because we
Because
are
Because
internally
providing
it
web.
connects
internally
to
it
Connect to
Spring.io.
connects
website.
one
The
application to another
spring.io only.
application.
Because internally it is making a web service call. Internally it is making a
Web
web service
service.
call from our system to Spring Initializer website to create the project. We should have we should have internet connection. We should have internet connection to create Spring Boot applications. Because network call is happening from our IDE to initializer website. All right, perfect. Now, once we create the boot application, what is the packaging structure that we are going to get? Boot application.
Sir,
Yes,
sir. Hello. One question.
yes,
Suppose in my local memory repository, there are all the dependencies which are required for creating Spring Boot application. Then, still, I'm going to need internet connection.
yep. Still, you need to have it because dependencies that it is going to search once the project is created. But in order to create the project, it needs the connection. Once your project is created, whenever you add a dependency, then it will check whether the dependency available in your local repository or not. If the dependency available in the local repository, then it will give from the local. If it is not available in the local, then it will search for the dependency in the central. Got it? But the dependency searching is
Yes,
secondary
yes.
part. First of all, the project structure should be created. To create that project structure, it will interact with the initializer website. Got my
Yes,
point?
got it. Yes, got it.
Now, Spring Boot application structure. Spring Boot application structure. Guys, now when I'm creating a project, assume that this is my first application, boot application I'm going to create. Here, I am using Maven tool as a build tool to create the project. Guys, who is not responding to my questions, please keep your mic in mute. Please keep your mic in mute. If you're answering to my question, then unmute and speak. Otherwise, please keep it in mute. It will disturb the class. Some background noise is coming. Otherwise, I will keep everyone in the mute. Then session will not be interactive. Please cooperate. All right. Now, when I create my boot application, what is the application structure? What is the application folder structure? What are the folders and files will be created in my boot application? Now, currently, I'm going to create the project by using Maven, right? Now, so first project name will be available. Inside this project, then we will have src main Java folder. src main Java folder. Inside that, whatever the package that you give. At the time of project creation, we'll ask for the package also. I'm giving package name as com.ashokit. Now, inside this package, it will create one class by default, which is called application.java. I'm going to create one package by default, which is called as application.java. That will be created by default. This class is called as start class of the Spring Boot. This class is called as start class of the Spring Boot. Now, along with this, one more folder will be created, which is called src main resources. src main resources folder will be created. Inside this folder, it is going to create one file called application.properties. You will create one file called application.properties. Now, after this, src test Java. src test Java. Inside the test Java, one package com.ashokit. Inside this, application test Java class will be created. JUnit. Application test.java will be created. After this, we will have pom.xml. So this is the high level folder structure of a Spring Boot application. If you create the project by using initializer website, or if you create that from your IDE, the structure is not going to change. And one more folder will be available for us, which is called as Maven dependencies. What are the dependencies we have configured, or whatever the dependencies that boot is providing, these will be available. jar files. The jar files will be available inside that Maven dependencies folder. So this is the folder structure of a Spring Boot application. First, project name will be available. Inside that project, src main Java folder will be created. Inside that, package name, you can choose any name for your package. Inside that package, one Java class will be available by default. That means the Spring Initializer is providing the Java class by default. That Java class is called as boot start class. That Java class is called as boot start class. All right. So what is the boot start class? Boot start class is nothing but it is entry point for boot application execution. It is the entry point for boot application execution. And we will be having a resources folder. Inside that, application.properties file will be available. Then test Java folder will be created. Inside that, a test class will be available. This is for unit testing. JUnits we can write here. Maven dependencies folder will be created. Inside that, what are the dependencies that we select? Those jar files will be available. That will be pointing from local repository. First time, it will download from the central repository. Then it will keep those jar files in the local repository. Then pom.xml file will be available. That is Maven configuration file. That is Maven configuration file. Good. Now, let's look at this. Let me create that project and show you that. Here guys, as I told you, our course code is 07 SBMS, that is Spring Boot microservices. In that folder, I have created one workspace. This is my empty workspace. Currently, nothing is available. Let me choose this workspace for my IDE. Here I'm using Spring Tool Suite IDE. In future, we are going to use IntelliJ also. Currently, I'm using Spring Tool Suite IDE to create our projects. Yesterday, I have shown you how to use initializer website. Anybody experimented that? Guys, anybody experimented that?
Yes, yes.
Able to create?
Yes, sir.
You understand all the options, right? What we need to select to create the
Yes.
boot application?
Yes, yes.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So, Ashok, I want to know what is the basically difference between STS or IntelliJ? Maybe okay, this is a different IDE, but on direct development or maybe some
When
yeah,
you go for
which one? Which?
rapid
Yeah.
development, more features are added in the IntelliJ, more shortcuts are there, auto suggestions. It will be easy for
Okay.
the programmer. Yep.
Okay.
And that too, IntelliJ is 1 month trial version. It is a commercial.
Okay, 1 month trial is a commercial.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Now, this Spring tool should provided by Spring people to develop the applications. Okay, so there is support available for Spring and Spring Boot applications development by using this IDE. All right. So in order to create the boot application, guys, observe carefully what are the options that I'm using. File, new, Spring Boot. Here we have the option to create the project. File. In the top menu, you have a file option. So click on file, then choose new. In that Spring Boot, we need to select. Here we have two options: Spring Legacy Project, Spring Starter Project. Spring Starter Project, nothing but Spring Boot applications. Spring Starter Project, nothing but Spring Boot applications. So go to File, New. Here you have options: Spring Starter Project, Spring Legacy Project, Java Project, Static Web Project, Dynamic Web Project, Maven Project, Normal Project. So out of all these, which one is representing boot? Which option I need to select to create the boot application?
Spring Starter Project.
Spring
Starter
Starter
Project.
Spring Starter Project represents, it is a Spring Boot application. Now, what is the service URL from where it is creating that?
Start.spring.io.
Spring.io.
Do you know what is start.spring.io?
Spring
Spring
initializer.
initializer.
Spring Initializer.
Good. Now, name, project name. You can give any name for the project. Correct. By default, it is taking demo as the project name. Let's leave that. Workspace, it is choosing that Maven. So, do you want to use Maven or Gradle to create the project? I'm going with Maven. Packaging type, do you want to use jar or var? I'm choosing default option as jar. Java version, it is asking 8, 11, 15. So it is not showing you Java 7 also. It is showing from Java 8. So the minimum requirement is Java 8 here. 8, 11 or 15. Okay, good. Next, language. It will support for 3 programming languages: Java, Kotlin, Groovy. All those 3 languages runs based on JVM only, right? I'm choosing Java. I'm not changing anything. Here, can you see what is this? Package. So the default package is taking for our application. So as I told you, some package name it is going to take here. If you want, you can change that package also. If you want, you can change that package name also. I have changed that package name to com.ashok. Good. Next. What is the current stable version of the Spring Boot? Come on, you can answer. What is the current stable version of the Spring Boot?
2.1.
4.1.
2.4.1, 4.2, 2.5 are in the pipeline. They are under snapshot. Snapshot, nothing but not fully tested. Not fully tested, they are under development. Okay, the stable version is 2.4.1. Now, guys, for my project, if I want Hibernate, can I select the dependency here? Can I select
Yes, sir.
here?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
I
Yes.
want a Oracle driver. Can I select the dependency here?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, we can
I
select.
want a project Lombok. Can I select that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Select the Lombok. So what are the dependencies that are required for your project? Maven dependencies you can select here. You can select here. Good. Currently, I'm not selecting anything. Several categories are there. So web dependencies, template engines, cloud tools, cloud security, cloud routing, cloud messaging, discovery, config, circuit breaker, cloud security SQL, PCF, ops, observability, NoSQL, Azure, messaging, IO, like this. N number of things are available here. If you want for your project, then you can select them. You can select them. Click on next. So what is this URL? Now, it is making a request to initialize the website. It is going to download the zip file. So if you guys observe this URL, whatever the options that we have selected in our IDE, is our IDE sending those options to initialize the website as a query parameters? Can I say these are the query parameters now? Can I say this is one query?
Yes, Ashok.
Yes.
So what is a query parameter? Which are used to send the data to the server in the form of key value pair. Query parameters will start with question mark. Query parameters will always present at the end of the URL. These all are the query parameters. See here, name I have selected as a demo for the project that's coming. Group ID, artifact ID, version, description, package name, com.ashok ID I have given, type I have given Maven project, packaging I have selected as a jar, Java version I have selected as a 1.8, language I selected as Java, boot version I have selected as 2.4.1, 2.4.1.release. So whatever the options that we have selected for our project creation, all those values are sending to the initializer website as query parameters. So if we send a request to this URL, what this URL will do, guys? What this URL will do now?
It will generate.
Download.
This will make the web service call to initialize the
It will
website.
make a web service call to initialize the website, and it will download that boot application, and it will give that application to us. So here, do I need to extract that zip file, or IDE will take care of that?
ID will take care of that.
It will take care.
Take care of it. Perfect. Finish. We got that. We got the demo application is getting created here. See here in the package explorer section, my project is getting created. Project is getting created. Hold on, sir. It is taking time to create the project now. So it has to download that project from the initializer website, and it has to download all the dependencies that we configured in our application. So it will take little amount of time to create. It will take little amount of time to create that application. Good. So from where it will download the required dependencies now? Guys, can you please tell me from where it is going to download the required dependencies? Yeah, speak out now. From where it is going to download the required
Repository. Maven repository.
Maven repository. So Maven repository, that means it is going to download that from Maven central repository. It is going to download from Maven central repository. Who will maintain Maven central repository? Who will maintain Maven central repository? Apache. Apache is going to maintain Maven central repository. So now, if I create a project for the first time, it will download those dependencies from Maven central repository. Will it download those dependencies every time, or it will download those dependencies from central for first time?
First time only.
First time only.
Every time. it is going to download for first time, because first time it will download those dependencies and it will store into our local repository. Whenever you create the project for second time, what are the dependencies required? It will take from local repository only, instead of taking from central repository. Now, are you guys clear with this? How this boot application is getting created?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Anybody has any question?
No.
No, sir. No, sir.
Good.
Sir, JDK also installed from the initializer.
No, sir. JDK by default available in our system, right?
Okay.
Okay, right now.
Sir,
When
how
we-
can we identify local repository here?
Sir, Maven pom.xml will connect that local repository. Local repositories always will be available in that username.m2 folder will be there. It will point to that.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Sir, what is group ID and artifact ID?
Sir, group ID represents a organization name or a project name. Artifact ID represents a submodule name, module name. Okay.
Module name. Okay.
Right now, so project got created, sir. Let me increase the font size. Let me increase the font. So when you go for Maven, group ID represents a project company name or a project name. Artifact ID represents a module name. Okay. Now, if you take Spring, org.spring framework is a group ID. Spring Core, Spring Web MVC, Spring AOP, these are artifact IDs. Got it? Now, so this Maven project got created. Let's right click. Once I will do Maven update, some error is displaying on the pom.xml. That doesn't stop our execution, but still, let me try. Maven update project. Right click on the project, Maven update project. I'm doing force update. Updating
Maven is build tool, it is right or no?
Yeah, build tool, so that's right. Maven is a build tool.
Okay, and it will only manage the dependency or other things like
Maven will do lot.
Okay.
So it will download the dependencies, it will perform the builds process of the application. It will do that.
Okay.
Right.
Sir, what are the Maven commands and where we need to write them?
We'll come to that part, sir. When I'm executing that application, I will show you those commands. Okay.
And
Right.
one more thing, sir, this is the folder structure is src/man/java. What is use of this folder structure? While we can create only one folder, the package only one folder there, src like.
But Maven is separated them because whatever the source code is available that you should keep in one folder. What are the property files or configuration files are available that you need to keep in the resources folder. Whatever the unit testing code that you are
No,
writing.
there are consequences around 3 folders. First the src, then man, then resource. src, then man, then java.
Here it is showing you like that, but when you go and check the workspace details for that, so when you go to this workspace, see here, a demo folder, inside that src, main, Java. Yeah, inside that the packages are creating. So there is a default structure that they have given for us to create the source files. So whenever you are writing a source file, that should be keep inside the main Java folder. That means Maven, whenever there is a concept called Maven goals. Whenever we are going to execute that Maven goals, it should recognize that where is the main Java code is available for our application. Whenever we execute Maven test goal, where is the test Java code is available for our application. So to differentiate that, they are taking this folder structure. Okay.
Hello, sir. Sir, the Spring Boot project structure is generated by Spring Boot or the website starter.spring.io, because both are different things.
Here it is mix of both. This is a Maven folder structure, but this is structure inside this structure some boot files are available that given by Spring Initializer website. So it is common understanding between the Maven and the Spring Boot Initializer, Spring Initializer.
So on that website, there is also Spring Boot running, and which upon receiving the request, it will generate that project structure. Whole zip file, right?
Exactly. That also will be in the same structure. Even if you create
Sir, hello.
the initializer website, it will download your zip file. Whenever you extract that zip file, the project also will be in the same manner. That is a common folder structure, standard folder structure that it will follow.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what is the purpose of scope in dependency?
We'll tell you, sir. Scope of the dependency will tell you when to use the dependency in your project. Do you want to use
Okay.
the dependency at the time of compilation, or do you want to use that dependency in the runtime, or do you want to use that dependency at the time of unit testing? What is the
Okay.
exact use? What is the exact use of the dependency? In which scenario the dependency should be used by our application will be configured using scope. Suppose if I go
Okay.
for JUnit, when I need that JUnit jar,
Testing.
well, at the time of testing, so what is the scope of the JUnit? Test scope.
Test scope.
When my project is running, I don't need that JUnit dependency to be loaded. Okay, got it. Fine. Now, folder structure is created. Let me go to pom.xml now. Inside this pom.xml, Maven configuration is available. So pom.xml root element is this project. Fine. Inside this, can you please read what is this?
Parent group idea.
What is the tag
Parent.
available? Parent.
Parent.
Can I say it is a parent dependency? Can I say it is a parent dependency now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, parent dependency. So for the parent dependency, group ID is available, artifact ID available, version is available. Group ID org.springframework.boot. This is the project name. This is the project name. Right. Inside this, Spring Boot starter parent available. Spring Boot provided starter POMs. What is the meaning of starter POMs? What is the meaning of starter POMs, guys? Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of starter POMs in the Spring Boot?
To simplify the Maven configuration for that.
Starter POMs are used for Maven configuration. Starter POMs are used for Maven configuration. That starter POMs are going to simplify Maven configuration. Starter POMs are going to simplify Maven configuration. Now, what is the meaning of a boot starter parent? What is the meaning of boot starter parent now?
Managing all child dependencies. It will download the child dependencies compatible with the
Boot starter parent, nothing but it is going to act as a parent starter for all the starters available in the boot. Parent child, boot starter parent. Whatever the starter POMs are available in the Spring Boot, for all of them, it is going to act as a parent. Now, next one, version 2.4.1. Somewhere we have selected this. At the time of creating the boot application, we have selected version for that. The version we have selected as 2.4.1. The version we have selected as 2.4.1. Boot version I have chosen as 2.4.1. Now, so this is parent starter details of the Spring Boot. Spring Boot starter parent dependency details are available. Next one, group ID, artifact ID, our project name, our project version, description we have selected at the time of creating the project. Then under the properties, it is configuring Java version. Well, we have selected Java 8, so it configured it as 1.8. Next, here we have dependencies. We have dependencies. Inside this, two dependencies are coming by default. At the time of creating the project, did I selected these dependencies or they are coming by default?
They are coming
By default.
Did I selected these dependencies?
No,
They are coming by default. These dependencies are coming by default. I have not selected these dependencies. These dependencies are coming by default. Could you please read what are those two dependencies coming by default?
Spring Boot starter and Spring Boot starter test.
Spring Boot starter and Spring Boot starter test. Spring Boot starter and Spring Boot starter test. Two dependencies are coming by default. This Spring Boot starter form, this Spring Boot starter will give all the jar files which are required to develop a standalone application by using Spring Boot. Like we need a IOC container, we need a dependency injection mechanism, all that support. Auto configuration, all that support related components will be provided as part of Boot Starter. And this Boot Starter test will give you the components which are required to perform unit testing by using JUnit. So test related components will be given by Boot Starter test form, Boot Starter test, and standalone application development support related jars will be provided by using this Boot Starter. Now, can I say these two are child dependencies for this parent, for this starter parent?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Can I say these two are the childs
Yes,
for
sir.
the parent starter? Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, sir.
am I configuring any version number for the dependency, or I'm not configuring any version number for the dependency?
Not configured.
Not configures.
Not configured.
I'm not configuring any version number. So which version number it will be taking for these dependencies?
Parent version.
Parent version.
2.4.1.
Parent.
2.4.1. Now, one of our friend asked, what is the scope in the dependency? Now, what is the scope available here?
A test scope.
Test scope. That means what? What does it mean?
It will perform for testing.
This dependency should be used at the
For
time
testing
of
purpose.
test execution, at the time of unit test execution. After that, that is not
Unit
required.
test execution. Okay.
All of you now after that, build is available. Some plugins we can configure. We'll come to these plugins part later point of time. For time being, not required to think about that. Good. So are you comfortable with this pom.xml configuration?
What is the property?
You need to
Yes.
remember.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Boot starter parent will be available. For that, version number will be configured, and we are going to add the dependencies here. These dependencies are going to act as child dependencies for the parent. For the child dependencies, no need to configure the version because parent starter will take care of that version. Parent starter will take care of that version. Now, when you have this pom.xml, below you can see here there is another tab, last but one tab available, that is called effective pom. There is a tab called effective pom. Let's go to that effective pom. Boot starter parent 2.4.1. Very good. Very good. Now Apache license, it is configuring. Pivotal team, the pivotal developer. Who is the developer of the Spring Boot? Pivotal team. So the developer team information also they are providing. Now next, properties. Suppose if I configure Spring Batch, dependency, do I need to specify the version, or already it is configured some version for the batch?
Already configured.
Configured.
Is the
No need, no required.
version it is going to take. Right. Now tomorrow, if I want to use Mockito, do I need to specify the version number for the Mockito? Already it is using the Mockito version, which is 3.
Already it is using.
Configured. It is configured. Tomorrow, if I go for Jersey version already configured here. That is 2.3.2. 2.3.2. Now, tomorrow, if I add a Lombok, project Lombok, do I need to specify the version, or already it is decided the version for the Lombok?
Already it is decided.
The version number for the Lombok. Now, Tomcat, which version of the Tomcat it is going to use? 9.0 Tomcat version it is going to use. Now, next, similarly, so what are the dependencies that you are going to configure for them? Already Hibernate. If I use a Hibernate validator, do I need to think about which version of the Hibernate is compatible with my Spring Boot, or I no need to bother about that?
We no need to bother about that.
No need to bother about that.
Yesterday when I told
Version conflict resolved.
Somebody
Yes.
asked me, could you please elaborate it? Now, do you understand how they resolved it?
Yes.
Do you understand how they resolved it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So whenever you
Yes, sir,
add a dependency, in the pom.xml, you no need to specify the version number for the dependencies. You no need to specify version number for the dependencies. Whatever the dependency you add for that version which is compatible, already it is configured here. Suppose tomorrow I will add H2DB. That means embedded database. When I add a H2DB, which version it is going to take now? Already it configured 1.4.200. If I add JSON, that is to convert Java object to JSON, JSON to Java, JSON API given by Google. Now, if I use JSTL 1.2 version it is going to use. So now tell me, being a programmer, do I really need to bother about child dependencies version numbers, or my parent starter will take care of that?
Parent starter will take care.
will take care of that.
But if you go for Spring, what is the situation?
We need to manually put the dependency here.
We need to match the compatibility.
We need to manually put the dependencies. Now,
Yes.
I am using Spring 5.1. Assume that some number, random number I am taking, sir. 5.1. For that, I will add a Hibernate 3.0 dot something. So, but do I really know that Spring 5.x version compatible with the Hibernate 3.x version? I don't know. If they are not compatible, then problems will come or problems will not come. Problems will be coming. So version conflicts will happen. There is a possibility to get the version conflicts when you go for Spring. But is there any possibility for that problem when you go to Spring Boot? That is completely resolved. That is completely resolved in the Spring Boot. So Boot is going to take care of versions. Dependency versions will be managed by Spring Boot only. Okay. Now tomorrow if I add a Lombok dependency here. Here Ashok, you are not configuring the Lombok version. Which version of the Lombok you are going to get? That you can check in the effective POM. Which version it is taking for the Lombok. So see here, the effective POM configuration, lot of things are already configured in the effective POM. 6,000 lines of Maven configuration is available. 6,000 lines of Maven configuration is available here. What are the dependencies we need to take? What are the plugins we need to take? What versions we need to take for the child dependencies? Everything is already configured in the effective POM. When you go for Maven application, this effective POM will be available. Is this clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, these effective POM dependencies are based on the version of 2.4.1, right?
Exactly. If you change the Spring Boot version, then effective POM versions might get changed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it is going to identify which dependency, which versions of those dependencies are compatible with 2.4.1. Suppose if you change the version from 2.4.1 to some lower version like 2.4 or 2.3.7, something like that. Some of the version numbers will be changed for the effective POM.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this dependency version resolution is available for only popular dependencies or each and every dependencies?
Only for popular, which are majorly used, frequently used with the Spring Boot.
Okay, and can we change their version
You can
if you
override.
wanted?
You can override that. You can override. Yes.
Okay, got it.
If you don't want to use the version number which is configured in the effective POM, you can configure your own version here. That is called overriding. Then priority will be given to the version number which you configure here. Okay?
Yes.
Good. All right. Now look at this.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Hello.
Yep. Now good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. If you change that, if change the version means the first line of the POM.xml sometime got the error. Why is it happening, sir? If you have anything change the version means.
Whenever you change the version, maybe it is not able to download those dependency snapshots correctly from the central repository. So whenever you face such kind of problem, you just please update your Maven project, then the problem will be solved. Okay, if you just update the project, then the problem will be solved. Okay, so maybe because of your IDE issue, it is not able to download those dependencies correctly from the central repository. That time you will get that problem.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
At the line number 4, they specify model version 4.0 something. Is that a Spring version or anything else, sir?
Which one?
POM file only.
Line number
4, I think.
Starting position 4.
Model version. So this is not Spring version, sir. Not Spring version. It is Maven related configuration, right? So if you see here, 4.1, the modular version is Maven related, not Spring related.
Okay, sir.
So what is the use of properties tag in this?
Properties tag means what I can say here. Suppose if I want to configure a version number for multiple dependencies, instead of adding the version number instead of hard coding that, suppose I want to add a version, sir. Here I want to add a version. Suppose something like this. What is the 2.4.1? Okay. Here also I want to add a version number. Here also I want to add a version number as 2.4.1. Tomorrow, if I want to change from 2.4.1 to some other version, then what I need to do? I need to change in all the places.
Okay.
I need to change in all the places. Instead of doing that, I will create one constant here. I will create one constant here as some SB version, something like this, whatever it is. Some SB version, I will specify 2.4.1. Wherever I need to use this 2.4.1, then directly I can use this. Okay. 2.4.0, 2.4.1, wherever I need to use this version number, then simply I can specify like this. That means instead of a hard coding, we can say we can simplifying that configuration. Tomorrow I want to change the version from 2.4.1 to 2.4.0. I no need to change here. If I change here, it will reflect in both places.
So similar for Java version also.
Exactly.
Okay.
Here, anyhow, we no need to configure the version. That's why I'm not using the properties.
Sir, it is maintaining all the versions. It will not cause of memory issues.
Yeah, that is one of the challenges available, sir. It is going to load all the classes into our memory. That is one of the limitation in the boot. So I told you one of the limitation, migrating boot up Spring application to Spring Boot is a time consuming process. Another limitation is unnecessarily it is going to load so many dependencies into our application. So there is a solution also for that. Whatever the dependencies that are not required for you people, you can exclude them. There is an option called exclude in the Maven. I think most of the people are having some doubts related to Maven. Sir, one thing I will do, I will take a Maven workshop, then I will clarify all of your doubts. Okay?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Good. Now, let us see here, project. So here we have a folder called Maven dependencies. What is this folder? Oh, so many jars are available. So many jars are available. So did I added these dependencies? Are they coming by default when the project is created? By default, they are coming when the project is
By default.
Spring Starter came, Spring Boot. Boot is replacing the Spring framework, or it is using Spring in the background?
Is using Spring in the background, not replacing.
Not replacing. All the Spring
Not
versions
replacing.
are coming. Which version of the Spring it is using now? 5.3.
5.2.
So Spring Boot 2.4.1 internally using Spring 5.3.2 version. Okay, Spring core jar files we got, Spring Beans we got, Spring AOP we got, Spring Context we got. All the jars that are required for boot application development we got from this Maven. Okay, good. Maven whatever the dependencies that you add here, those dependencies will be downloaded. Now, these dependencies are currently pointing from my local system. See here, C users, HP is my username, is name of the system. In that .m2 .repository. Can I say this is the path of my Maven local repository in my computer? Can I say it is the path of my Maven local repository in my computer?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The dependencies are pointing from central repository, or these dependencies are pointing from local repository?
From local repository.
The dependencies are pointing from Maven local repository. Where that Maven local repository will be available? Go to your system, C drive, users. You will have some username. My system username.
HP.
Inside that .m2 folder is available. Inside that repository available. Inside that all the dependencies are available. What is that group ID? org dot springframework dot boot. org, Spring Framework, org, Spring Framework, go to boot, then Spring Boot, Spring Starter AOP, Spring Boot Starter, Spring Boot Parent, Spring Boot Parent. So these many versions of the Spring Boot I have used. So during our courses, so for every 1 week, for every 10 days, a new version of the Spring Boot. I have started using the Spring Boot from 1.3.5 release. 1.3.5 release. Now the current version that we are using 2.4.1 version. So we can see those dependencies here. You can see those dependencies here. Now boot starter is available. For this also some version numbers are available 2.4.1. So this is the boot starter 2.4.1 jar. All these things are already downloaded to my Maven local repository. All these things are already downloaded to my Maven local repository. Very good. Next, let us go for main Java folder. What is the purpose of this SRC main Java folder, guys?
To have all the
What is
Java
the purpose
classes.
of this main Java
Java.
folder?
It have
To
application
place our Java
Java.
classes there.
Application.java file is available. That is demo application. It is taking as a class name. The class name can be anything. It is giving by default demo application.java. So this class is very important in the Spring Boot because this class is called as start class of the Spring Boot, or people will call it as main class in the Spring Boot. This class is called as start class of the Spring Boot, and this class is called as main class of the Spring Boot. Here we have main method which contains run method. Guys, please look at this class once. I will explain you what is this class also. Please read this. All right, guys. Now, can you please look at this start class? Can you please look at the start class now? So, do we have a main method or not?
Yes.
Do we have a main method or not? Generally, what is the purpose of main method in the Java? What is the purpose of main method in the Java?
To start execution.
It will start execution from main method, sir.
Generally,
point of it.
generally, Java applications execution will begin from main method.
Point,
Java applications execution will begin from main method.
Main method.
Spring Boot applications execution also will begin from main method that is available in the boot start class. That is available in the boot start class. Now, here we have one annotation that is at Spring Boot application. And inside the main method, we are calling one more method called Spring application.run method. Spring application.run method. Now, so within 1 day, we don't understand what is happening in this method and what is the purpose of this annotation. 2 to 3 classes it is going to take to explain what is this run method is doing internally and what is the purpose of this annotation. So this is bootstrapping method and this is bootstrapping annotation for the Spring Boot. So if you understand what is happening in this method and what is the purpose of this annotation, 80% of the clarity you will get on the Spring Boot. Internally, what boot is doing. So many people are saying that embedded servers are coming. So many people are saying that auto configuration is there in the boot. Everything boot is going to provide you. But how the boot is providing, what is happening in the background, those details we are going to understand. We need to do postmortem for this run method and for this boot application annotation. Then you will get more and more clarity about them. Then you will get the more and more clarity about them. So those things that I'm going to explain you in the tomorrow's session, what is going to happen inside the run method and what is the purpose of this boot application annotation. Don't miss the tomorrow's class because that is very, very important. Lot of internals we are going to talk about this Spring application run method. Lot of things we are going to discuss about the Spring application run method, which is happening internally. Good. This is start class. Currently, we don't know what is happening inside that. Currently, just we know it is a start class. It is the entry point for boot application execution. What is happening in the background? We will discuss that in the tomorrow session. Okay, keep it aside. Main resources. In the main resources, there is one property file. Could you please read the name of the properties file? Could you please read the name of the properties file?
Application.properties.
Any configurations that you want to do for your project, you can configure here. Application.properties. Application.properties. Here we will write the properties in the form of key value. In the key value format, we are going to configure the properties. What are them? I want to configure data source properties to connect with your database, driver class, URL, username, password. Okay, I want to configure a port number for my embedded server. I want to configure my application name. I want to configure Kafka server details. And I want to configure application messages. I want to write security configuration. I want to write actuator configuration. All those things will be configured in the .properties file in the form of key value format. In the form of key value format. But nowadays, people are not using .properties. People are using YML files. Boot supports for .properties as well as .yml. In our course, we are going to use both .properties and .yml also. We will use .properties as well as .yml. I will show you few applications with the .properties file and few applications with the .yml. I will tell you the differences between the .properties and .yml also. Good. So currently remember that inside the resources folder, we will have a properties file, RAYML file, where we will write our application related configuration properties. Good. Next, coming to test Java. Here one class is created, demo application test.java. So what is the purpose of this test class? To write the unit testing, JUnits. So how it is representing it is a test class, there is an annotation, @Spring Boot test, and @test annotation is also available. Now, so these are the main files and folders that we can see in our boot application. Project, inside that main Java, inside that start class. Resources, inside the .properties. Test Java, inside the test class, Maven dependencies available, and pom.xml is available. Are you guys comfortable with folder structure of our boot application?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys comfortable with folder structure of our boot application?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, now we can run this application also. We can run this application also. Right click on this project, run as boot app. So when I use this option, run as boot app, from where it is going to start this application? From where it is going to start this application?
From main method.
Demo application.java.
Demo application.java.
From the start class. How to represent our Java class as a start class? @boot application annotation. @boot application annotation. Inside that main method is available. From that main method, our boot application execution is going to start. Lot of things are going to happen inside this execution. Those
Actually,
details we are going to
one of my friend is also want to join the Spring Boot microservices batch.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
I forwarded your number to him.
Yeah, please hold on, sir. Hold on.
Again, actually, I'm also joining both the batches, Spring Boot and microservices, but I didn't got the mail for payment process.
Anil Patil, please hold on, sir. I will take your question. Okay, I'm just running this application. Please concentrate here first. So now I want to run this project. In order to run this project, right click, run as boot app. Run as boot app. So boot application execution getting started. Application executed and application terminated. So whenever we execute this boot application, it is printing some text here and it is printing some logo. This is called banner in the Spring Boot. This is called banner in the Spring Boot, our application started and our application terminated. So are we able to run our first boot application from IDE? Come on guys,
Yes,
please.
sir. Yes, sir.
Able to run our first boot application by using IDE?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how to run the boot application?
So right click on
Right click on the project.
Run
Spring
as
Boot
Click on the project.
Run
Spring
as
Boot app.
Spring Boot app.
Spring Boot applications.
boot application. So from where it is going to start the execution?
From
Main method.
main class.
Class main method. From the
Main
start
method.
class main method. How
Start
it
class.
will recognize which is the start class?
Spring Boot application
Spring Boot
annotation.
Spring Boot application.
And which
Annotation.
contains the main method. Inside the main method, what it is doing? Spring
It will
application.
call the run method.
Generally run method basically.
Run method is
Yeah.
It
So,
is running the
Okay.
demo application dot class.
yeah, it is running this class. It is calling the run method. So what is
Hello.
understand how the background? How background that we are going to discuss in the tomorrow session. Okay. And guys, one more thing. The people who want to receive the class notes, please visit our website. Here you can see Boot Microservices course is available. Please register your details in this form. When you click on the register option, you are going to get the Google form. Please register your details. I will provide you class notes and class recordings also to your mail. And with the today, our free sessions are completed. You have to enroll to attend the sessions from tomorrow. So how to enroll? What is the enrollment process that you will get to your mail? So if you register your details here, you are going to receive an email from us in another 1 hour. So please complete your enrollment process today. You will get the new Zoom link to attend the classes from tomorrow. New Zoom link you are going to get to attend the classes from tomorrow. If you are not yet registered already, please complete your registration here. Then we will send you a mail for enrollment process. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, one more question, sir, actually related to
Sir,
Spring
I will
Boot.
take your question. I will take your question. Please give me 2 minutes. I will be there. I will take your questions. People who are watching from YouTube, you can find the Zoom details in the description of the video. Please join in the Zoom class for interacting with me. You can speak with me. If you have any questions, please join in the Zoom class. Zoom details available in description of the video. So for tomorrow, we are going to change the link, right? So please complete your enrollment process today. How to complete that process? You will get a mail from us. Please register your details here in our website for Boot Microservices. Guys, people who are watching from YouTube, thank you for watching. Please like our video. See you tomorrow. If you want to ask the questions, please come to the Zoom. Zoom details available in description of the video. Good. I'm stopping the